Cup Series race. Here are your hosts, Kevin Bedstone, NASCAR Sky, and Jeff Davis.
Welcome back, NASCAR Nation, to another great episode of Mash the Gas Podcast, your premier podcast for all things NASCAR Cup Series. My name is Kevin Batstone. Joining me shortly, NASCAR Sky, and of course, Jeff Davis. We're here to break down the Toyota Mart 350 from Wine Country up there in Sonoma. We have a new points leader. A lot to break down here. Sky, who mashed it up in Wine Country?
You got to give it to Denny Hamlin. I mean, he dethroned Tyler Reddick for the points lead, which a couple months ago, we thought was going to be impossible. So Denny Hamlin is at the top of his game. It is so impressive. And I don't know, me personally, I'm kind of rooting for him for the championship this year.
No doubt we got to give a nod to Denny Hamlin because we didn't think it was going to be possible to see someone take it over, let alone at a road course with Denny. He had a lot of adversity to overcome there, Jeff. You know, Carson Hocevar maybe got into somebody who shipped him. You know, Denny realistically could have left here with like a 10 to 15 point lead. But look, I think Denny's just happy to be the point leader and head to a track that he's going to have a lot of success at.
Well, you know, and you got to think about it too. You know, Tyler Reddick was like 4 or 5 laps down by the end of the race. So it's kind of tough for him to kind of make that up. So, but yeah, you know, Denny's in the lead now by one single point. And, you know, I think it was Brad Keselowski kind of got into the back of Hocevar just a little bit. And then he hit Hamlin, and, you know, caused Hamlin to spin. But Hamlin still came back from it. But, you know, we kind of knew that SVG was going to win this race. I mean, since Sky was out last week, we'll take her dad's pick for this week. We'll give it up to Sky's dad with picking SVG as the winner for Sonoma.
Yeah, because neither of us picked him to win last week. I took Kyle Larson, who, you know, I think he kind of performed the way we expected, right? I mean, SVG didn't get the pole, so there was that. I mean, shout out to Ty Gibbs. These guys are getting better on road courses. We're seeing it. You know, I think SVG is causing the field to have to do more sim time, you know, really grind everything they can. We're seeing it, right? SVG started P6. Connor Zilic got up there, kind of mixed things up a bit. But Sky, this is it. No more road courses in 2026. So SVG is going to have to buckle down and keep grinding top 10s on the ovals if he's going to make the chase.
I don't think it's impossible. And we've definitely seen him improve his overall oval package this season altogether. I mean, he's been hanging in the standings or hasn't fallen, you know, too far out or anything this entire season. But it's definitely going to be hard without the crutch of the road courses. But you never know. Places like Daytona, which, you know, we're about to come back up to in 2 months, he could win something like that as long as you survive. So it doesn't take much, but that race was definitely, I love Sonoma. I mean, that's a road course that I've watched, you know, feel like my whole life. We've always raced there. And it just always impresses me, but there was a lot of spins this race. I mean, I guess that's what we kind of always expect. I thought it was pretty funny when the 34 of Todd Gilliland went on like the rage after getting Bubba Wallace getting into him, and then he took it out on the 35 or whatever. I thought it was pretty funty. He was not happy there, which I can't blame him, but overall, I don't know. I'm just really happy with the Sonoma race. And it's just, I know we already talked about it, but Denny Hamlin, it is impressive. I will say it probably did help like what Jeff was mentioning with Tyler Reddick having not a good day, but Denny Hamlin just incredible right now.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Reddick's had a couple hiccups the past few weeks, which has allowed Denny to close in. But if you had said a couple weeks ago that Denny's going to leave Sonoma with the point lead, I didn't see a pathway there. But now Denny can set his sights, like I said, with the 1.5 miles of Chicagoland coming up. You know, we've got Indy coming up, North Wilkesboro, a lot of places where the 11 is going to, if not win, have top 5, top 10 finishes. It's his race now, Jeff, to the chase to maintain the regular season championship.
Yeah, it really is. You know, the other person I was impressed with was Ryan Blaney. You know, he held his 3rd spot in the playoffs. So, and I think that's what they were targeting for. They're like, you know, if we can just maintain in the top 3 till the end of the regular season, I think we're going to do really well. And I agree with him because, you know, he's carrying the Penske stable. Like I said, didn't move in points. You know, being that the SVG did win this race, it bumped him up 3 spots because, you know, last week he was down 1 spot below that cutoff line. So to see him get up there to 3 spots, if he can just finish in like the top, you know, 18 or so for majority of these next race, you know, upcoming races, I think we have 8 left, then, you know, he's got a damn good chance of staying within the cutoff line, you guys.
Well, and to Sky's point, we have Atlanta, right? Echo Park Speedway here in 2 weeks, which is another, you know, asterisk type track, super speedway. You know, anything can happen there. We've had 3 wide finishes. Daytona, like Sky mentioned. We've got North Wilkesboro. I don't really see that being a huge SVG track, but I see that being a Ryan Blaney track. Indy, flat, New Hampshire, Richmond, a lot of these tracks that, SVG is going back to with more experience, I think is going to help. But the Penske guys also have had success on these racetracks in the past. So it's really just a battle. It's the points are on. You want to try and seed yourself the best you can between now and Darlington, because we know realistically with that 100-point advantage from 16th to first, you're already a race and a half deficit going into the chase. So, everything you can do from now this summer until we get to Darlington is definitely going to pad that situation in the chase.
Yeah, and that includes the entire team. You cannot have issues on pit road. I was thinking that while watching Sonoma with Ryan Blaney's pit crew, that we haven't talked about them, and over the past few weeks, honestly, maybe the past month or so, which is a really good thing because you don't really want to be talking about them because they were a big point of contention for a long time. And it was unfortunate because Ryan Blaney is so talented and he performs just so well. So everybody's got to be firing on all cylinders and no more mistakes, especially because it's getting into crunch time. And then you look at people like, Joey Logano, and it's just hopeless. But Cindric is someone that is really impressing me in the Penske League. I've talked about him a few times before that he's kind of filling that number 2 spot at this point. But I thought he did really, really good this race coming back, except the one thing that I have to get on him for in his career is I don't like that he is a retaliate, or he likes to retaliate. And it's annoying and it's just dangerous. And he did it a lot this race. I'm pretty sure they even called it out in the broadcast that he went to bump back, I think Brad Keselowski or something, and miss. And it's just you cannot make those little mistakes. Stuff like that is going to come back in.
It sure will. And we don't want to see that happening, with the last 8 races to go, because, like I said, time's running out. So you have to get your stuff together. I'll tell you who I thought was impressive to me this weekend was old Seabell getting a P5, after that DNF where he broke his wrist in Michigan. And then, last week he, didn't even run the whole race. I think he jumped out at the very first caution. So to see him finishing in P5, he jumped up 2 spots in the standings. He's sitting there in 10th place right now. So, if he keeps running like he was, I didn't expect him at this road course to be able to finish in the top 10 at all. I'm like, he's got a handicap here, that's gonna be tough on him physically. And then I even remember during the broadcast, and I think some of us kind of forgot about this, how, Brad Keselowski in the off season broke his femur, when we ran into him in Kansas City a number of months back. He was still gimping on that cane, and just, hurting. So, to see some of those guys like that, it's really impressive to see how hard these drivers run. They push it, seeing with Chase Elliott a couple years ago when he broke his leg, how quick these guys come back from injury, and they're not 100%. They're not 100%. But they're doing their damnedest to make sure they're up there, and especially with this new format this year, how important it is to get in that car and just win.
Very important for sure. And Seabell overcome that adversity with that cast. I mean, I'm sure he's glad the road courses are behind us. The road to recovery gets a little easier. And it wasn't an easy day for him. I mean, the 77 got in the back of him going up into turn 1, turned him into the dirt there. We kind of saw that happen a lot throughout the day with guys getting nudged off into the dirt, typical Sonoma. But how about his teammate, Chase Briscoe, for, second consecutive year running P2 to SVG on the road course. And for a second there with about 3-4 to go, I thought the 19 might have had something, but you could see he was pushing it hard. He started smoking the tires going into 7, overshooting it just a little bit.
I was rooting for him. I really was.
I agree. And I was thinking too, I mean, that's such a big improvement. We're used to seeing SVG win 15 seconds, 10 seconds, all these crazy amounts over these other guys. But I mean, I thought that, a couple more laps. I mean, I'm pretty sure SVG was on defense, which I'm sure he's not used to in this type of situation. So I don't know. I was really, really impressed with the 19, and I honestly would have liked to see him win. I mean, he was giving it his all when he passed his teammate there with, closing in. I mean, that was a beautiful pass, and it was out of nowhere. It was so incredible. I was like, he really might catch SVG.
Well, like I said, I think SVG is making the field better. They've been chasing the rabbit, as they say, for, 6 out of the last 8 road courses SVG has won on. Now 8 wins on the road, 1 more, and he ties Jeff Gordon. I mean, it's just insane what he's done. But these guys are tired of getting their ass kicked. And it was like we said last week, what SVG said in San Diego. He said, it pisses me off every time I show up at these road courses and people just automatically assume I'm going to win. He's like, I think it's disrespectful to my competition. But that's just SVG. He's a class act. But I'll tell you what I felt bad for was old AJ Allmendinger. It's his 500th career Cup start, hometown track, didn't get the finish he wanted. He qualified decent, Jeff, but just got kind of bounced around, ended up finishing P16.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too. I really thought, he stayed up there in the top 10 for quite a while. So I was like, okay, cool. Because I had him in my lineup and I didn't switch him out in time. I switched out Michael McDowell, and I should have kept Michael McDowell in there because in fantasy, I'm doing my absolute best to finish dead last, apparently, because I'm not doing so hot. But, like you're saying with SVG, with all 8 of his wins coming at road courses, he does need, he's getting better at the ovals, and he needs to keep it up and keep that going. Because you got to think about it, being second on that list with Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon, as far as road course wins, if Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon had this many road courses over the last in their careers, in the last 6-7 years, how many road courses do we have compared to what they had during their runs? I think they would have a heck of a lot more, but it's just insane to see how many SVG has gotten, the first couple of years of just racing. So, it's phenomenal. Like, as far as Cup Series wins through the first 70 career starts, Tony Stewart's the only one that's got more wins, not necessarily on road courses, just wins in general. He had 9 wins in his first 70 starts. SVG is already number 2 on that list with 8 wins in his first 70 starts. So, he's putting up some numbers in there, and, I just want to see him do more than just road courses. I mean, we all know that he kicks ass on them. He's going to continue to do so. I love how he's like, I don't want a camera on my feet. That's kind of his secret. That's how, he doesn't want the other drivers seeing how he runs those pedals. A lot of drivers have tried it. They're just like, I can't do what SVG does. But again, it's just amazing to see what he's done. I just want to see him do more on the ovals.
Yeah, it was cool that TNT threw up that foot cam on SVG because he's the only driver in the field that uses the heel toe technique, which is old school, grinded out type racing, right? With this sequential gearbox, since we've gone away from the H pattern, drivers really just need to let off the accelerator and select whatever gear they want. But SVG is using a heel toe rev match downshift, which is totally fantastic if you're a gearhead like me, because it's so difficult. It takes such class that you have to be completely accurate with your revs. And that's where SVG had the advantage at Watkins Glen going into the bus stop, and these really tight right-handers and left-handers and going through the S's. The way that he can car control with the clutch alone gives him like a second advantage over the field.
And we know how important those seconds are. I mean, they add up. It is impressive just what he can do. And I wish I don't know how many more drivers are even attempting to do it. But clearly there's something there. And if you could figure it out, I don't know if I'd give up so quickly. Like you were saying that some drivers are like, well, I just can't do what he's doing. But I mean, if you could do it long enough, I mean, clearly it's working and there is an advantage there. I was looking to Alex Bowman, like what the heck? Having him finish top 10 is so cool. And it's funny because, not to jump too far ahead, but I think he's the most recent winner at Chicagoland back in 2019 or whatever. So, maybe he can ride this and then he can finish well. And then you look over at the standings, and I know this is kind of dumb to be impressed, but I'm impressed by how much he's jumped up. I mean, he's jumping up again over guys who've had the entire season to get points, and he's already ahead of them, missing 6 races or whatever. So I'm not saying this clearly, when you look at it, it's maybe not like the best, but there's clearly something there. So maybe he can secure the ride for one more year, next year or whatever.
Rick Hendrick might give him the chance. I mean, he really can. And it's cool that you mentioned that, Sky, because, 2019 is the last time that we have run, Chicagoland on, that mile-and-a-half oval, because we just took it away, started doing, the Chicago street races. A couple other races have taken his place. But, yeah, that was his very first career win. And coincidentally enough, I found this kind of amusing, too. He barely beat out Kyle Larson. And that was when Kyle Larson was running for Chip Ganassi. So it's crazy to think what's gone on in the last 7 years in our sport, because for that race that Bowman won in Chicagoland, Jimmy Johnson was still running. He took a P4. So I was looking at those stats too, Sky, and I was like, that's super cool. Maybe Alex Bowman can do it at this track again. I know they haven't run it in quite a while. It's kind of a sister track to Kansas. So I think they're going to be looking at a lot of the data from the Kansas races, because it's kind of hard to go back 7 years and look at all your notes and data that you have from Chicagoland, but at least they've got some kind of some track to reference to. You know what I mean, Kevin?
Right. Well, because you think in 2019 we were in the previous gen car, so not only are we going back after 7 years of age on the track, we're going back with a whole new race car. But I think, to your point, it basically, if you picked up Kansas Speedway and dropped it in Joliet, Illinois, you have the same racetrack with the exception of the back straightaway being just a little bit more curved. But the banking, the layout, the grandstands almost even look the same. So I think with that, you got to look back to Kansas where Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick, 2311 ran really strong, and just at a mile and a half in general, right? Chase Elliott has shown some speed there. Hendrick has been improving there. And how about a shout out to Connor Zilic this week, guys? After having one of the most horrific rookie careers ever, he finally gets himself a top 10 on the road course, runs P2 in the O'Reilly race to SVG. Is Connor Zilic going to finally turn it around and start getting some decent finishes?
I don't know. Only time could tell. It is hard because he's had such a bad time, and most of the time it's not even his fault. He's just getting caught up in things. He's trying to figure out the car. He's trying to figure out, this type of racing because, he goes down in O'Reilly and he's incredible, class of the field, finishing first or whatever. So he's got talent. It's just, hopefully, maybe he just has such a bad rookie season. He gets it all out. And then for the rest of his career, it's smooth sailing, because it has been, I feel bad about how bad it's been for him, but he works so hard. So I'm happy for him that he finally got a good result there.
Yeah, because he's had crap luck, because we know the last 5-6 races, and kind of like you mentioned, Sky, with the O'Reilly series, out of the last 18 races, he's won 8 of them, and SVG's won 6 of them. That might even be the last 17 races. There are a couple there in between that they didn't win, but they've got 95% of the wins, on road or in Sonoma and all the road courses that we've had in the O'Reilly series. It's great.
Well, how about for junior motorsports too? I mean, Dale Jr. keeps racking up these wins regardless of who's driving his equipment. I think Justin Allgaier's got to be the favorite heading into Chicago, but I thought that was a cool moment, Jeff. I know we were chatting on the phone after the O'Reilly race when Junebug hopped in the car there with SVG and his daughter Isla got to take a little victory lap. That's always fun when you have your kids at the racetrack and jump in and celebrate. And I'm glad that TNT has Junebug for the next few weeks as well.
I know. I do love listening to his insight and everything he has to say. I did also like listening to Jimmy Johnson as well. I thought, I don't know, it's always nice to have them back in the sport and just getting to experience them because they were such a big part of, a lot of our NASCAR growing up and looking back. So it's always good when they come back. I'm really excited. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I'm really excited for Chicagoland. It's just been so long since we've been there. And I like that we're bringing back these other tracks instead of, I do like, we try this Chicago Street Course, the San Diego. I do like that they're trying new things, but also bring back old places. See if we can get the hype back and into these areas because nostalgia is such a big thing. And a lot of these people, maybe they don't watch NASCAR on a daily, but growing up, the people around Chicagoland or whatever, they can be like, oh, they're coming back. It's been so long. Maybe I should go back. And then there you go. You got new fans that way as well. So I'm just really excited with the way NASCAR is going. And I don't know, I'm really excited for Chicagoland.
I am too. And I love going back to these tracks. Chicago has always been one of my favorites. We go back a year before Alex Bowman's win. That was one of the most iconic races with Dale Jr.'s first time up in the booth, calling that race when he was the slide job, going through turn 2, classic quote that will forever ring in NASCAR history. That was at Chicagoland. And that was when Kyle Busch was running the Skittles car, got the win and was doing the crying, to the crowd, boo, don't even listen, don't even watch if you don't like that kind of racing. Because Chicago put on fantastic racing, Jeff, just like Kansas. We get 5 wide restarts, multiple grooves, progressive banking. This is the type of stuff we want to see. I'm now advocating for Kentucky Speedway. I loved Kentucky Speedway there in Sparta, just south of Cincinnati. That market and that demographic is huge for NASCAR. We need to bring these tracks back.
Yeah, that'd be a great track to bring back. I agree with you 100% on that one, Kevin. Because, the oval that we've got coming up, the regular old oval, it's 1.5 miles. You got 18% in the bankings, 11 on the front stretch, and 5% on the back stretch as far as banking goes. So pretty normal type of track. But like I said, you can compare it a lot to Kansas. But like Sky was saying about Jimmy Johnson up there, I thought that was damn cool as well. We've only got 4 races left, I think, on TNT. And now this is for the whole year here. Then we've got 4 on NBC, but then we go 10 of them on USA. And my TNT went out for just a brief moment yesterday, and then it was on the True TV as well. So I was like, sweet. I was able to catch it on a secondary channel, luckily. Didn't really miss anything, but maybe about 10 seconds. But again, we're having to switch to all these damn different channels all the time. The O'Reilly series, the rest of them I think are on CW. And the only stuff on Fox will be Truck Series races on Fox Sports 1. And then on regular Fox, they've got one single race left.
Yeah, I mean that's just part of it. One cool thing I will say about the TNT deal, like you just mentioned, Jeff, is True TV's an option, right? TNT's an option, and then HBO Max is also carrying the race. So there's three options there for people to watch the race, and maybe that's an avenue they can explore. Kind of going forward, you have to have similar network partners to make that work. Like I'm pretty sure True TV and TNT is owned by the same corporation. HBO Max might be
Yep.
looped in with that, right? So there's three different options there. But Marty Smith, I think, did a questionable job. I've always known Marty from ESPN, and he does a good job as a racing journalist. But I don't know if I loved him as a analyst down there at the desk. But hey, these guys, they've been around the sport a long time. They bring some good commentary. I'm glad they kept Daniel Trotta, Shannon Spakes down there in the pits now. So I like the TNT crew.
I don't know. I think we're just so spoiled by Amazon, by Prime, that it's just hard for anything else to compete. But I do like that there are three different avenues to watch. I do think that makes it a little more accessible. I think I think you honestly at this point need to just standardize, and this might make so many people mad, but put it on like a one streaming platform, you know what I mean, or something. I don't know. It does start to get so complicated, and I've mentioned it before, but I'm a big NFL fan, and it's very similar in that space as well. And I'm sure the NBA is probably just the same. It's just making sports just so much harder to watch when it's on one thing and you got to pay, and it just be so much easier if we can just standardize it. But I do like you said, the three avenue. I think that is actually really cool. We didn't even touch much on the in-season bracket. I
Hmm.
don't know. All I know is that I am happy that Denny Hamlin finally survived. He finally survived against a good old Ty Dillon.
I
How
was going to
about
ask you.
Bowman?
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, is your bracket busted? Because mine is destroyed week one.
Mine's not
Yeah,
too bad, but yeah, it's pretty torn up though.
it's
Well,
kind of like last time. It was all busted. Everybody's was busted the first one last time. It was ridiculous.
I don't think anybody had. Well, somebody might have had Alex Bowman going over Tyler Reddick. I didn't. Right.
No way, no
I
way.
the number
No.
one seed. I mean, I just and Reddick's so good on road courses. Not that Bowman isn't, as we just mentioned earlier, but that head-to-head matchup, I would say probably 80% of folks chose Tyler Reddick. I know I did.
Oh, I did for sure. And who was it? Was it Shannon Spake or something saying I had him going to my finals? So I think a lot of people did. I mean, how it's hard not to. I mean, he's held the number one spot in the standings until this week. It's hard not to take someone that's number one. Especially just I don't know. Yeah, that shocked me. It really did. So that busted me up.
Who do you guys have to win the in-season bracket challenge? I ended up landing on Ryan Blaney when we get through Indy.
I went
I
ahead
too
and
have
took
Ryan
the 11 of
Blaney.
Denny Hamlin.
You went Hamlin. Who did you take, Sky?
Blaney as well.
Okay, so we were kind of thinking similar there. Just because when I looked at that head-to-head when we get to Indy, that flat track kind of Phoenix, New Hampshire feel, I was like, I think this has Blaney
Hmm.
written all over it. But I don't know, Jeff. You might be onto something with the 11. We'll just have to see how it shakes out when we get to the Windy City in Chicago. But all in all, it's been a while since we've got to this point in the season where there's no more road courses, right? August used to be Watkins Glen. We'd have the Roval in October, which is now going to be a 400-mile oval back on the Charlotte Oval. So it's all ovals from here on out. And just kind of echo that point I was making earlier, Jeff, with SVG. It's time to buckle down if he's going to be a real threat for not only making the chase, but to make a run for a championship.
Hey, so I was going to ask you guys, do you think there's going to be some sort of sticker thing between the 45 and the 11 to put on, I know Denny was giving him crap and he beat him a little while back and had him put on Denny's baby bro or whatever the hell it was that he said he had to put that on the car. And then I also got a hell of a kick out of seeing that bumper sticker on the back of Denny's car that said something like, you don't like my driving, call 1-800-DENNY or some shit like that. That got around social media pretty quick, and it just made me laugh because Denny Hamlin's a character. He's got a great personality, whether you love the guy or hate the guy. He's great for the sport, you guys.
He is, and I think he's now the championship favorite. I mean, obviously we opened up with Reddick, but as we saw the 11 run, I think he started to show why he's the favorite. But that was a pretty interesting paint scheme there, Sky, on the 11. We had his email address, the Yahoo account or whatever. It was like, go ahead and email Denny at this.
Yeah, but you know what? I like it. I like that I don't know. I just like that personality, and I think that that's what was missing for so long in NASCAR. And it seems like for a while, like I remember Denny last season at the end of the year when he lost the championship. I just remember seeing how defeated he looked. So I'm just so happy that he's having fun with it again. And I'm sure it helps that you're winning for sure. I'm sure it's not fun. I'm sure Logano's probably not having the time of his life right now. But I don't know. It's just so nice to see that in him. And I wanted to mention, you were talking about social media. Did you guys see Whatever, I don't even know. Like Larson said that Hocevar's like an 8-year-old, and then Hocevar was like, "Yeah, they let an 8-year-old qualify on the front row or whatever." That stuff
Laugh
had me
my ass
dying.
off.
Yeah.
I just like that. That's what I like about Carson Hocevar. Like I like that you have that personality. That's how you're gonna draw fans in, especially these younger fans. That's all I can say.
And he's doing a very good job at it with his Twitch streams, with what he does on social media, showing up at the racetrack with the fans. Jeff and I were sitting there watching how he was interacting. He was probably one of the most polite drivers on the grid that day. And then he gets on the racetrack and ruffles some feathers. I mean, that's what Kyle Busch used to do. That's what Dale Earnhardt Sr. used to do. That's what all the great talents of our sport are about, is personality. Ross Chastain was in this conversation many years ago. It's just part of who he is. It's his personality, and he's going to piss people off. And his fans love it. They love the rivalries. Rivalries sell T-shirts, Jeff.
They do, and we always like to see villains. Kyle Busch had it for so long, and I had totally forgot that it was the Chicago race that he won, in 2018, where he's rubbing his eyes like, the cameras and stuff.
Classic.
Classic. It was great. It's like that's the kind of stuff that people, again, whether you like him or you don't like him, he's getting everybody's attention, and I think that's what we've been seeing a lot out of Denny lately. But Sky was right; it was kind of lagging for a couple of years, where it was just kind of just every day kind of stuff, nothing really ruffling feathers. Carson Hocevar is definitely ruffling some feathers this year. We'll see what happens throughout the end of the year, but you got to give it up to him. I mean, he's up there in points. He's doing well, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's definitely going to keep himself in the chase.
He just reminds me so much of like a baby Ross Chastain. Like I feel like out of everybody that we mentioned, like him and Ross, it was almost like identical. Two very different reactions, I will say, because I do feel like Carson Hocevar gets mostly by you know, the general, or at least over half, people seem to like him, whereas a lot of people seem to not like Ross when it was going down. I always find that interesting how the fans take it, especially being a Logano fan, because Logano's always been aggressive, but he's extremely hated for the same thing that like Larson gets away with, or Hocevar. So it's always interesting to see how fans interact differently. And I think it all boils down to like personality, where they're from and how likable they are. So well, I don't know, but whatever's working for him, for the 77. I mean, he's doing really well this season. I'm pretty sure he's he's 8th right now in the standings. So I think that overall, I'd be really happy with that. That was how I finished in the year.
Yeah, you're right. He's in 8th position right now, and like I said, as long as he keeps running pretty well, he'll stay there. And like you're talking about Ross Chastain, and it's interesting because the last year or so, people really didn't like him because of how aggressive he was. And then once he kind of like blended in a little bit better and started racing a little bit better, now we're not seeing him up there in the points. He's below, he's not in the top 20 right now, right? No. Yeah, no, he's not in the top 20 right now as far as the chase goes, or even close to being the cutoff line. So, Hocevar, I don't see that as far as next year. I think he's going to be a threat for sure.
Well, and it's also got to give a nod of the hat to Spire Motorsports. I mean, these guys have overcome a lot. I mean, Michael McDowell's running well, right? The team has speed for sure, and they have a driver that can pull sponsorship and is qualifying well. I didn't see the 77 going out there and starting on the front row at a road course. I mean, he just keeps surprising us, right? Goes out and gets the win at Talladega. He's clicking off top fives here or there, contending for wins, and that's. I think we're going to see a lot out of him. I think he's got a bright future, and we're going to say the same about Corey Heim when he's full time next year.
I know. I cannot wait to see that. It's always so exciting when they come up. I'm interested to see Jesse Love as well, to see how he does. It'll be a very full rookie class next year, especially compared to this year, which it's just Connor this year, right? I'm pretty sure. So it'll definitely be a much better rookie battle next year. But Chicagoland, I don't know at all. I don't know. I still don't know who I'm picking. I have a couple guys, but I think I'm going to let you all pick first, and then that'll maybe narrow it down for me, because it's a toss-up between a few people that you guys usually pick.
I figured as much, and I've had my pick for 5 weeks, looking ahead to the schedule and just knowing, who's hot, where, how it's going to work out. I mean, I think the 45 is a good pick, Jeff, because we looked at Kansas. He won Kansas there. But I'm going to go with his boss, and the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, our new points leader, is going to go out and extend that points lead, get himself another win in Chicago. It falls right into his driving style. He's going to go out and nail it.
All right. Well, I think that's a damn good pick. Well, I'm going to pick the guy that you were just talking about. I'm going to go with the 45. I think you can go out there and get it done. Mainly, like you said, because of the Kansas win that he got. And he wants to get back in first place. He's like, man, I'm only 1 point behind. All I got to do is finish ahead of Denny, but he's going to want that number one spot and get those extra bonus points. So I'm going to go with him. And, I was thinking about Ryan Blaney because he's been doing pretty damn good. But yeah, I'm definitely going with 45 of Tyler Reddick.
I mean, you guys sort of helped narrow it down a little. I'm
Take
stuck
Kyle
between.
Larson. Take Kyle Larson.
That's okay. Larson is who I think I am going to take. And you guys know I do not like to take Larson, but it was between him and the 9, and I keep going back and forth. But I think, now that I say it, I want to go Chase Elliott. Okay, whatever. I'll stick with Kyle Larson. You know what? Maybe he'll finally get a win, even though I do like that he hasn't had a win yet, because it makes me feel less bad about Logano.
Well, I think every driver we just picked should go into everybody's fantasy lineup this weekend for sure, because we know that Hendrick's going to have speed. We know that 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have speed. So those 3 race teams alone. And then, I think Ryan Blaney is a good sleeper pick. I wouldn't say he's a long shot per se, but, Penske needs to climb in the ring and start being able to have the speed, be able to compete with what we've seen out of the Toyotas on the mile and a half. I mean, until they do that, the Toyotas are going to be the favorite until they're not, or if the Chevys can get in there and mess some things around. It's going to be interesting, Jeff.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. This is another race that doesn't have huge grandstands. Seating capacity is 47,000, but I'm super glad we're getting back there. Way more happy than seeing the street course. I'm glad they took away the Chicago street course. Don't know if we'll go back to San Diego next year, but yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, you guys.
Yep, it's going to be fun. Since we're short on time here, we'll kind of turn the page over to Chicago. I wanted to get into Dodge possibly coming into the Cup Series here in 2027. We saw them jump into the Craftsman Truck Series this year, but I've been hearing some rumblings.
RFK?
Yeah, it sounded like RFK might go Dodge. What do you think?
I mean, that's kind of crazy. I would hate to see RFK lose 4, but I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I would like to see a new manufacturer into the sport, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm all good with bringing Dodge back. Mopar was a part of NASCAR for many years, so it'll be interesting to follow that as we get closer and closer to the end of this season. But hey, it's the 4th of July weekend coming up. Typically I want to be in Daytona for this weekend. I still feel like the Daytona night race, Jeff, belongs to the 4th of July weekend. I mean, that's just how I always watched it. That's what it always was. Not the case. We're going to do it in Chicago with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series on Saturday, 5:30 Eastern. The ARCA Series is there on Friday. And then we're running a little bit later on Sunday this week, 6 p.m. Eastern, Chicagoland Speedway, 400 miles. What did we say? TNT, True TV, HBO Max. At least it's all over the place. So once you're done watching that, mash that subscribe button over here at Mash the Gas, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Follow us on social media at Mash the Gas across the board. NASCAR Sky at NASCAR Sky. We're headed to the Windy City. We'll see you next Monday night. Until then, y'all.
Mash the Gas.
I feel the engine screaming back. I feel the